Welcome to Dance to Heal. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how dance and movement can bring healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that movement was vital to my recovery. I created Dance to Heal Wellness and also authored the best-selling book, Outside in Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new techniques to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Also known as Navah, Jennifer has been in love with the art form of Middle Eastern dance for over 18 years, with numerous awards, news features, and interviews. She is also a yoga body anti-gravity yoga instructor. Jennifer is the director of Navah Mirage, providing professional entertainment and community performances. Jennifer loves how dance can transform the individual. And now I am so excited to introduce to you Jennifer, also known as Navah. Welcome!
Happy to be here.
Okay, so I just explained and gave a little bit of a cool bio, and yet I would love for the audience to hear your story, Jennifer. Would you kind of just tell us, first off, how you got started in dance at all, and then what you currently do, and that in between when you shifted?
Sure. I've been dancing since 2004 as an adult, and I hadn't had any dance experience prior except just watching dancers and movies and musicals and really getting inspired by the body and the feelings that evoked out of dance. So in 2004, my first opportunity to take a belly dance class popped up at the YMCA, and I drove an hour and a half one way to go to class, an hour and a half to go home. So it was a lot of driving, but it was so exciting. I took my first day of class. I was so fired up. I said, Darren, I think I can do this. I think I found my thing. And I showed him, so brave. I showed him a little piece of like what I thought I was supposed to be doing my first class. Very bold and brave to do. And he says, Jen, I'm not sure that's what that's supposed to look like. And he's probably right. And I was so excited. I didn't care. I was like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to be really good at this, and I'm going to have a lot of fun. So that was my first taste of belly dance and how it happened. Just really curiosity and liking the idea of controlling inside my body and making things happen with it. So that was my first experience. And so then in Green Bay area of Wisconsin, there isn't a lot of belly dance in the community here. It's very small community. The few people that were doing it was kind of hard to connect to, but so I spent a lot of years self-teaching, studying from videos and books and VHS tapes and things like that. And then I discovered there were things like workshops in Milwaukee and Chicago and around this country. So I started taking as many workshops and learning and creating my home community. And after learning for about 3 years, studying every day, 3 hours a day, I decided I wanted to try finding a regular class that I could attend in person. And I went to a program through the city of Appleton, and they were actually looking for a teacher. And they said, well, do you think you could teach it? And I was very shy, I was bold with my husband, but I'm not bold in the community. So at that time in my life, so I was like, well, and my husband says, yes, she can teach your class for you. So I had my first opportunity as an instructor, and it's been a great learning experience, a lot of fun, meeting tons of people, and I've been teaching since 2007. I started a dance troupe, and it's just been great creating community and having fun.
I do have to explain, well, we know each other from this dance community, and we recently had the pleasure of dancing together in this giant production in Vegas, right? And certainly your community is so lucky because it's no mean feat to spend the time and the energy and the money to go out to these events and be a part of these amazing experiences. And yet at the same time, right, it is a lot of expenditure, because I know you turn around and bring it right back to your community.
Right.
I would just love for you to, because we're good friends, y'all, I can ask her the difficult questions. In my previous episodes, we discussed a lot about the benefits and yet also the times when dance, instead of healing, it becomes something that you have to reset from when it's not, right? Because you've been doing this over 18 years. And for someone who is new to it, we might not even recognize what signs of burnout is. What are those signs, Jennifer?
Sometimes I think we so much focus to our art form, or maybe it's not dance, maybe it's, our fitness or a hobby we have, and we put so much focus in, and sometimes we start to second guess our value in it, or if we're good enough, or is it feeding us? And we can also get overwhelmed with, maybe we're jumped off the edge a little too deep into the pool and we're overwhelmed. So signs to me of burnout is when it doesn't make you smile anymore, or you feel like you just don't really want to do it and you have to. It can be kind of depressing. You can get into a pretty depressed mindset of in burnout. And I think when you get there, it's really important to tap back into the why you chose to do it and see if you can re-explore and re-enter the emotional phase of what it was that you felt when you were most happy doing it. And then start to give yourself space to maybe not be so invested, maybe take a step back and remember that joy and playfulness and your reason why, and do other things like maybe read different types of books, listen to different types of music, go to a concert, spend time with friends, and don't talk about dance. Just exploring life from a different set of mind, and then keep feeding that. Why do I do this? Why did I like it? And is it still there for me? So I think that's really important to make sure you're remembering your why.
Oh, I love that. Because my goal in starting this podcast was to introduce the idea of dance as a way of coming back into your body, especially after trauma. And I love what you say, because oftentimes those of us who understand that we're trauma survivors, most of us are, just so you know, most of us are. We've all survived the panini.
Right?
We've all survived the panini. We've all survived it. Sorry. We're all on the same playing ground. Anywho, so in recovery from that and getting back into the wide world, we can throw ourselves into old things we love a little bit as an escape. Similar to when I used dance after my cancer treatment was done. And I kind of lost sense of the why. It just became an escape. So I couldn't feel how poorly I really was feeling. And when you're disconnected from why you're doing something, it can easily become, instead of a healing thing, for me, it became a poison, because I missed all the signs of my kids being in distress, especially one of my more endangered child. And so it was this needing to come back into being present, Jennifer, that I really love. Because if you switch your things you're paying attention to, it allows you to reset so you're sensitive again to what it is that you loved. I mean, even the cells in our eyes, we stop getting, if we're looking at one thing too long, the information starts to dull in our brain's reception of it. So if we shift our attention to something else, it's a brand new stimuli, similar to even now, right? In social media, TV shows, everything is constantly shifting to keep our attention. And I've noticed that if we shift our attention to something else, so if you've never danced, you have the option to take anything online. If you're not in Jennifer's exact location, right? Tell us if someone is very, very interested and intrigued by what you're saying, how could they join you for class?
Sure. Well, I offer classes on Thursday nights. Zoom is available. You just need to message me. I can give you my class for free, so you can check it out, how it works on Zoom. Classes are 6:30 on Central Standard Time. And on Tuesdays, I offer a gravity yoga type class, which is another way to get into our bodies and recenter and refocus. I find that type of experience. Well, let me just go back a little bit. Like, Jenny, I don't know how you say what you say so well. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. But then when I talk about like gravity yoga and dance and all these things, it's really a way of getting back into your body and remembering who you are and why you are. And it's so strengthening to your soul. So that's the focus I have in my classes, to make sure the individual is like reconnecting at a cellular level in their bodies and making their magic and recognizing who they are and how valuable they are. So it's like kind of gravity yoga classes, very much like, forget what you think you know about fitness and health and stabilization, and let's go and do it. Let's actually do it. Let's actually make a stronger body and actually be proud of ourselves with the product at the end. And then it's a way you can actually watch your development, just like in dance, with you as a coach. You have a plan for somebody, and then you track it, and you can show the person as they grow how incredible they are in the work that they've done and how it is paying off for them. And then they can be like, wow, yeah, this is awesome. But yeah, gravity yoga class is on Tuesday nights at 6:30 Central Standard Time. And if you're interested, just send me a message and I can definitely give you a first class for free. Check it out. See if we're a fit.
Yeah, I love that. I think what's going to resonate with people is because you're so easygoing, and we can hear that in the way you talk. And that's basically the way you teach too. I mean, like, y'all, she's amazing. And you really want to take advantage of this opportunity, because oftentimes we're in classes and we don't really know how qualified a teacher really is. Right, Jennifer? I mean, like, seriously, right? Because I joke about this, but I do want to address, oftentimes, I have accidentally been hurt by instructors who I affectionately term the 6-week wonders. And, they take a couple of classes and they're like, hey, I can teach. Everyone says I'm beautiful and I'm number one in the class already. And unfortunately, if a person is not training in the pedagogy of teaching and also aware of the trauma that can be released from our bodies during these movements, right? And or they don't know what to do when I'm in a trauma response.
Right.
Because I've been in stretch positions where I will literally get I'll be bawling. And something as simple as, don't touch me when I'm bawling, because now you're going to associate and anchor my bawling to where you just touched me in that position, right? Simple things like that. Do you have any type of, okay, so this is going to be a twofold question. And I'm throwing this at her because I know she can handle it. Okay, so number one, if I'm in a class and I'm interested in a class, how do I know that teacher? How do you know when you're going to check out a new class that teacher is safe for you? And part two is, if I'm in a class, I've just decided this teacher's safe, and I'm in a class, how do I pay attention to know if something might be getting released emotionally in me? Like, how do I know? What are some signs? Everyone's different, but maybe some general things someone could keep an eye on. What do you think?
You mentioned how about the teacher, being like a 6-week wonder. Well, we do have that, but we also have really qualified teachers that maybe aren't a good emotional fit for an individual. So really, I think that answers one of your questions, making sure you know who you are and what you need as an individual so that you can confirm that instructor is a safe place for you. I think just knowing yourself well enough. When I would go to class, I trained with a lot of different people. And when I go to a class, I remember, okay, I'm here to learn. And if the class doesn't feel advanced enough, I can still learn. I can learn maybe how to talk, maybe how not to talk. I can learn how to do a different movement or explain something better. Or and I use my classes that I take to learn from in that way, as well as a student just learning, okay, this is a mile or or figure eight, or, you know. So I approach all my classes that way, no matter who I'm training with. It helps me remove myself from the emotional release place a little bit and gives me a different focus. If I get in, what was the other question about being in an emotional scenario?
Well, because you've always been a learner. That I know. Over 18 years in this business, in this type of dance industry, you've always learned. And I know that as you've evolved as a performer and a teacher and a creator, there have been moments you've got an emotional response during a class.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
what are some, because correlates to what you said. You want to still know yourself, because for me, a lot of times my listeners are people who are new to moving, right? And they may not have connected with you or me. I still want them to move. That's really important. So once they find a teacher they think they can connect with, how do they know when they're getting an emotional response to something?
That's a really good question too, because I think some people are really cerebral, and other people are like, they can feel vibrations throughout their body and feel that sensation. So depending on what kind of person you are, again, knowing yourself well enough. I've had emotional releases, usually in some classes where like an anger will come up, and that is not the feeling I want to have in a community where I feel like I need to scream and yell and run and punch or something. So like, yeah, just remembering this is only a moment. It's good to let it go, acknowledge it, let it go, let it move through and pass, and just give yourself the space not to have to experience it all at that time. Stay centered and grounded. That's my method of dealing with it. But yeah, just I think there's so much to being a teacher, and then so much to being a student, and trying to not expect your teacher to have all the answers, but to keep yourself personally responsible. That, you have to be able to manage challenging situations. If you are lucky, your teacher will explain, you might have an emotional experience. It's okay, acknowledge it, let it pass through you. And if you want to talk about it in private later, you can do that, with the right person. So yeah, I think that's really important to remember, both as a teacher and a student.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that reminder, right? Because in the neurolinguistic programming work I've done, a lot of times we're reminded that perception is projection. So anytime you're in a class, and sometimes it's not even the teacher, what if another classmates just irritates you, right? And you don't know why. And oftentimes in my work internally, and also now with clients, we're like, well, perception is projection. What about that person upsets you? Now look internally. We're not talking about gaslighting. Like if someone's abusive and bullying you, we're not talking about that. For example, when I was in training for NLP a year and a half, 2 years ago, there was this one classmate. She was never afraid to be the first to raise her hand up and ask and demand that she be the case study. And I was like, after the third class, I was kind of like, oh my God, like, it's not all about you. Like, why can't the rest of us get a chance? Right? And then I had to take a look and go, because I had a conversation, because here's the beauty of that learning experience for me. The instructors had warned us about covert saboteurs within us. Meaning, if I go into a classroom setting, similar to like what you said, Jennifer, and I'm going to take responsibility for myself. If some things are irritating me about the class, right, I have a responsibility to, one, look internally, make sure it's not projection. Secondly, my teachers always welcome input and asking to speak to them, because they're like, I will apologize if I insult you, upset you in any way. I will take responsibility for my role in it. I would ask you, instead of, because in the old past, what we do, we complain about it, right? And this is actually sabotaging your own growth. And that's one of those things that I would ask us to look at, because anything that's new that propels us towards growth, even if it's better for us, the subconscious part of us that's kept us safe, will do everything it can to stop us because it doesn't know what to do in an unknown situation. And unfortunately, if we're not aware of that, we will keep repeating the same loops because your subconscious, that's 90% of you, knows how to handle it, even if it's something you want to get out of. So I love that. Thank you. Thank you for going in that direction for me. And I really love that because I'm very, very honored, actually, Jennifer, because not only were we castmates in the same production, and you teach and I teach and we dance in the same community. Recently, you made the decision to work with me, and I would love for you to share with the community and the audience why you decided to work with me and what your benefits are. I'm gonna hide now. I'm kidding.
Like, this is my favorite part right here. So if you are thinking, is Jennifer's program right for me? I guess what I want to say is the reason why I chose to dive in deep with Jenny's program is because she saw me. She saw through me. She saw who I was. She accepted me who I was. And it was like instant. And I just needed to recognize that she was actually looking at my soul and valuing my soul, not thinking, well, I need to help her get over that and fix that and everything. She expressed in the way she looked at me and with her words when we just chat casually that she could see who my soul was and that it was a beautiful place and that there was more to offer. And I'm all about transformation and supporting and giving and being that type of person. So when I felt honored and received in just talking with her, I knew she could help me step over the boulders that had been there in my life for forever, from the earliest memory. Things like, why do I not do the thing I think I want to do? And it feels kind of like a tongue twister, but that's exactly how I felt. I felt like I wanted A, but I wasn't willing to do the thing before A, learning the alphabet. I wasn't willing to put in the work to get the carrot at the other side. And then I was just running around and pushing against this block, and I could never get to doing the thing to get the thing. And then I started wondering, do I even want the thing anymore because I'm not willing to do it? And, it can be a very confusing place between these ears. So Jenny was able to help me first recognize that she could see me and see that I had value and that it was worth exploring to reconnect to the who and I am and the why I want the thing. And this is a journey, right? It's not like we get there. You might attain a goal, but there's always more goal. There's always more dream. There's always more vision. There's always more work and progress to do. So I'm recognizing that. Before, I used to think it was just, okay, once I have a thing, I'll be done and I'm happy. And that's not a truth. And working with you, Jenny, you made that more clear, that path is a part of a journey, and that all the things that I didn't want to do, I really did want to do. I just had to get it right in my head and in my heart and see every little change and every little bit of progress that we made through the coaching program that you offer. The tiniest little thing would just like snowball into a bigger something where I felt more valued and more excited and more proud of myself and more willing to do the next thing. So it helped me realize, I was probably feeling really deflated and defeated. Like maybe I'm doing all these cool things, but I'm not being acknowledged. Oh, that's a big deal. So acknowledging myself and then noticing other people acknowledging me and celebrating the successes, even the littlest, tiniest thing, like writing in my journal, daily growth every day during your processes that you shared with me. And so big changes over a very short period of time. I had big changes, and maybe the world couldn't see them yet, but it's only been a couple months, right? And the world is seeing the changes now. And I know that because the feedback coming to me, one, I can receive it. And two, it's actually really meaningful. People look me in the eye and talk to my heart and say the things that I am needing to hear. And it's like, and my heart feels more open and free to give, like it should. So they're big changes with actual, like I was saying before, you can actually have a game plan, write the game plan, see the progress, note it, and be proud of it. And that's happening right now. So the snowball is a snowman right now. And pretty soon it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful big snowflake snow. Oh, I live in Wisconsin. Snow is a thing here.
And here's the thing, though, right? Remember, so we're going to just give them a little bit of a real glimpse. When you were inside of it, there would be times I would get Voxer messages. This doesn't feel good, Jenny. I'd be like, I know. I know. And then we would have these amazing sessions where we would take apart some limiting belief you didn't know you held. That was preventing you from giving you permission to get to that, to even dream of that. Exactly. And I wanted to also take this moment, y'all, it's a trust fall, these sessions, okay? With anyone, even with me, anyone, to do this type of work, to do a breakthrough session and evolved NLP, it is a trust fall. And you have to be willing to free fall sometimes, which is what Jennifer was willing to do. Because I still remember the very first session, and I can tell you now, because we're done. Like, you're officially kind of graduated from the breakthrough process, right? Most of the time, what people don't realize in your first session with me is I literally mirror back to you what you're giving me. That's really the only way I can instill, and I would hope anyone would do this with you, whoever you're working with, a trust of your subconscious. Because again, let's reiterate, and Jennifer knows this, and I'm going to explain this again because it's really important. I never understood this until maybe the last 8 months of my 2 years of training with Avalon Empowerment, okay? The people now, you on this interview, me on this interview, you're listening and watching the audience is only 10% of who we are, our conscious selves. There's another 90% of us sitting in the back, watching all of this, inputting where we're seated right now, making plans and categorizing quick responses and decisions about what you're hearing, what you're going to do, how you receive this information. And if we don't get that 90% on board and let it know, hey, I understand. Your job is to keep us safe. And we just want to give you a little bit of a nudge in another direction of what we want.
Right.
It's really impossible to make many gains. Like, we'll make a little gain and then we'll loop right back to where we were. Because, the subconscious or your unconscious kept us safe all the way to now. And it really needs recognition for that. And oftentimes people don't do that. So I got to tell you, thank you so much for taking that trust fall.
Absolutely. Feeling safe and actually being in danger are two different things, right? So it's like, you are safe, even if it's uncomfortable. It's when you're in danger where you need to pull back. Exactly. It's okay to be a little uncertain of the situation and watch it change,
Exactly. And in lieu of this whole messages thing of being safe and understanding, this is why I have Jennifer here on this podcast, because I want you audience to know she's a safe person to take class with. She's done her work. She knows where she ends. She can meet you where you're at. She's one of the few instructors. That's why I only interview people I personally worked with that are going to be on this podcast, just so you know. She's done her work. She's super safe for you to take class from. So whether you're in person near her and or you want to try one of her online classes, make sure you message her. We're going to put the links below here. You message her and she'll get back to you and send you the Zoom link to join her either Tuesdays or Thursdays, 6:30 Central Time. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. See you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Dance to Heal with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of recovery through movement and learn more ways that you can move your body. To work with me and continue your journey, visit OutsideInRecovery.com. Are you ready to move?